Welcome to Success Weekly with James Tharris, a weekly dose of thought-provoking ideas and helpful tips on improving your mindset. And now, here's your host, James Tharris.
Well, hello and welcome. My name is James Tharris, and I'm the host of this podcast. And I have to confess that I apologize that I haven't been as consistent this last couple of weeks with getting my podcast out on Mondays like I have been doing for the past several months. Got a lot of things going on right now with the new school opening here in Palm Harbor, Florida. So all of my attention has been really focused on making sure that we're doing the right things and making this thing work, because this is it. We're sitting here at the big poker table of life, and we have pushed all of our chips in. And this is make it or break it. So we don't really have any choice but to focus on doing all the right things, which is kind of a great thing when you think about it. You know, there's sometimes we want to do things, or we should do things, and we know what they are. I mean, with our health and fitness, we all know we shouldn't be smoking. We know that we shouldn't be drinking alcohol in excess. We shouldn't be eating lots of sugary or fatty foods and soft drinks and other things like this. But sometimes we don't listen to our wisdom and intuition, and we do things anyway. Or there are things that we know we should be doing, like exercising, but we choose to lay in bed. We choose to get on our phone and play on the chat with somebody. What do you call messaging? Or flipping through Facebook, and before we know it, hours have gone by, or playing games or whatever. So we know we should get up and exercise, but we don't. However, when things become a need, they move from a want or a should to a need, that's when things get done. And that's really where I'm at right now. It's refreshing, but it's also scary because of a lot of things, right? I'm almost 50 years old now, and I had a pretty nice lifestyle before I moved here to Florida, and I was coasting on easy street, so to speak, and so I decided that I didn't want to do that, and I packed it all up and moved down here to Florida, and we're starting over again, and there's a lot of readjustment that I have to do a lot of readjusting, because I'm used to a certain lifestyle that I've grown accustomed to over the past 20 years or so, and that lifestyle is really not there at the moment because I have to put everything that I've got into making this business work. And that's what I'm talking about. It's moved from a want or a should into a need. So I talked about this in class the other night, and when I said it, I thought, wow, that's pretty powerful. I need to get this out there in some fashion, and so I've created a meme with it on there, but I've also just kind of restated it for you, and I'm going to restate what I said in class the other night. And it's amazing that when you teach somebody, sometimes you hear yourself say things and you think to yourself, wow, where the heck did that come from? That is good. It can't be from my brain. That's got to be from someplace else. So anyway, what I said was, the more that we do the things that we need, the more we'll be able to do the things that we want. So one more time, the more that we do the things that we need to do, the more that we will be able to do the things that we want to do. And the reality of things is, most of us do the things that we want to do, and we try to push away the things that we need to do. But when it becomes a need, we actually get to work and do those things. And so whatever that thing is, you'll do it if you absolutely need to. You absolutely have to. So when somebody hits rock bottom, they always say, when you hit rock bottom, there's no place else to go except upward. And there's so much truth to that. So I haven't hit rock bottom or anything, but I'm back in the trenches where I'm now doing all of the things that I had hired other people to do and taught them to do, and I'm now having to do those myself, get reacclimated to the whole process of actually physically doing these things versus managing. And it's an incredible process. It's an incredibly rewarding process, but I also can appreciate all of the things that I was able to develop over the course of the past 20 years. And I'm hopeful that I can repeat that process in a much shorter time. So anyway, that's a little bit about what was on my mind. And today I want to kind of shift the focus a little bit and just talk about the last couple of days in my life and kind of give you some insight into what's been happening. So as you know, I like to get my podcasts out on Monday mornings. But the last couple of weeks have been really busy with back to school, frankly, and we're doing this anti-abduction seminar coming up this Saturday as well. So this is our second one of these. There's a huge interest in that here in Florida, much more than we ever suspected there was going to be. And so I think we had 13 people in our very first one, and that was after a 24-hour notice that we were going to be holding this seminar, maybe 48 hours. And the outpouring of interest has been unbelievable. So we decided to set up a follow-up seminar because a lot of people wanted to come to the first one, but because of the short notice, they weren't able to. So this coming Saturday, we're doing our follow-up seminar, and we've got 60 people registered, and we've got a whole line of standby people that would love to get into this thing. And we are in a 3,100 square foot approximately building, and we've got 60 people that are going to be on the mat, plus at least 60 people that will be in the seats. That's if every child or family brings just one parent with them, and we know that that's not likely. It's more than likely they're going to have both parents and maybe a sister, a big brother, a big sister along with them as well. So it's going to be a packed house and probably a fire hazard. So we're hoping the fire marshal doesn't come by and ding us this Saturday for that, because it is going to be one packed house. Now let's back things up to Sunday. In fact, I'll back things up to last week. I have a good friend of mine. His name is Jimmy Mack, who comes in and helps us to put rack cards, which are little advertisements, into local businesses, and we do a joint venture with them where they will put ours in their business, and in return we will put theirs in our business, and we will try to do some cross business networking and help one another's business. So I decided to contact Jimmy Mack. In fact, I contacted him about a year ago and then told him what we would be doing, and he kept checking back with me and to see if we were going to need him to come down, and we didn't really have any need for it until about July, and I contacted him in July, and so he said, well, I'm really booked right now, let's look at the end of August. And then so last week I contacted him one more time and asked him, we talked about the end of August, are we still on the books? And he said, oh my goodness, you know what, I got a lot of things going on, but if we do it this weekend, I can come in Sunday and we can knock this thing out Monday. So that's what we did. We scheduled him to come in, and he came in Sunday night along with my son and his girlfriend. So we went from having no guests to having 3 guests. And at the very same time, my phone decides to have something called what's called a black screen of death, which is just a black screen with a little swirling white wheel that doesn't stop. So I woke up at probably 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock in the morning, and I happened to notice that was happening. I could not get my phone to shut off, and I tried everything I could, and finally I pressed a couple of buttons together and I got it to shut off. Unfortunately, I could not get it to restart. So then I started I tried plugging it into the computer. This is 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, Sunday night, and getting it to reformat, or what do you call I can't think of the term for it, where you reinstall the software and back it up, and there's a term for it. Anyway, I tried doing all that, and nothing was working. So then Monday morning, about 5:30, I got up again and got started on it again and started researching it on Google and looking for it on YouTube. And of course, everybody was telling you to do the same things, which is what I had inadvertently discovered, which is pressing the home button, which is now on the right side, not the little button in the middle. This is an iPhone. And the volume down. That's how you power cycle or forcibly restart your phone. And that's how I got it to turn off, but I could never get it to start again. So as I'm doing all this research, I start seeing these third-party programs that are available that will, supposedly bring your phone back to life and get it to start up and get it out of recovery mode. And so I tried buying one, and I put the credit card information in, and it just disappeared. So that one didn't work, and I said, okay, I'll take that as an omen, and I'll try a different one. And I tried the other one, got my credit card information entered, and got the program, and of course it didn't work. And I tried it several more times, and it didn't work. And I tried it several more times, and went back onto Google and checked, and it didn't work. So I then contacted this company, and of course they're very slow on the draw with returning the emails, even though email is like instantaneous, and they could probably respond to it within an hour or less. Nonetheless, the 24 hours went by, and I told them it wasn't working, and then they email me back and ask me my make and model and all that kind of stuff, and they expect me to wait another 24 hours. So instead of doing that, of course, I couldn't do that yesterday, Monday, because I was out with Jimmy Mack riding in the car all day, helping to put these rack cards into businesses, and we ended up getting 50 of them out there. And I say 50 loosely because I know there were several of them where I know that as soon as we left, they were going to throw the boxes away. And I don't care. I'm not too worried about that. As long as we have many of them out there, that's great. And we made a really good connection with a pizza place here in town that's offered to put our flyers on top of their pizza boxes and deliver them to 1,000 houses a month. So that's good as well. So nonetheless, I was sitting in the car all day. I couldn't use my phone. I was supposed to be contacting the press about our seminar coming up this Saturday. Couldn't reach anybody. I couldn't get to the information that was in my email to be able to find the press release information and the contact information. And I was driving around in this car all day with Jimmy Mack, who loves to talk, and so I really couldn't concentrate on that. So I was basically stuck. And then I had to come in. We got back at 4 o'clock, and as soon as I got in, it's time to start teaching classes. And by the end of the night then, we left, and I noticed that it looked like the AT&T store was still open, so we pulled in. And there were 2 people in the store, so I figured, oh, this is going to be great. I'll go in just to see if they have any tips or tools or tricks, or can at least help me exchange my phone or anything, because I purchased the replacement plan, the insurance on it. And as I walked up to the door, I pulled on it, noticed that it was locked, and one of the workers that was in there, this lady, she looks up at me with a really kind of not a friendly look, like, hey, can't you see we're closed look, and then looked right back down to whatever she was doing, and, didn't tell us we were closed, I'm sorry, anything like that. So I was a little, perturbed about that. Anyway, I went home, and again had no phone for the rest of the evening. And then this morning I decided I was going to meet them at the door, and I zipped in there right at 10 o'clock when they opened, and I found out that if I wanted to have my phone replaced, it was going to cost me $200 for a restocking fee. And I questioned the guy, and I said, well, I'm paying for insurance on this, and I was told that if I dropped it, if I cracked the screen, if I put it in water or whatever, that this would totally replace my phone. And he says, that's true. However, there is a $200 restocking fee. So keep that in mind if you are working with iPhone or an iPhone and AT&T, and they're selling you on this $9 per month insurance program, because there are a lot of little things that you don't know about that come up to bite you when it comes time for these kind of things. So nonetheless, I've been paying $9 a month for the last approximately 12 months. So 12 times 9 is what, 72 or something like that. Let me double check that. 12 times 9 is 108. See, I was off. So I paid him $108 for insurance, and then on top of that, I'm supposed to pay $200. So that's $308 that I have to pay to get a brand new phone when it's under warranty. So they told me I had 45 days left of my warranty, and so I would have to go to the Apple store if I wanted to get it for free. So what did I do? I immediately left the AT&T store and drove 45 minutes to the Apple store near the Tampa airport. Had to find the store inside the mall, which was not very easy to do. I had to stop and ask somebody. And I get into the Apple store, which I have never been a customer at an Apple store yet. I've been to it and through it, but never actually had a need to be in there. So today was my first experience. And as I went in, I was greeted by a young man, and he asked me why I was there. I told him. He took my phone from me, took a quick look at it, and says, yeah, there's a problem with it. Let me get your name and information, and the wait's going to be about 90 minutes. Is that okay? Yeah, what do you think I'm going to say? I mean, of course, that's not okay, but what can I do? This is my second day without my phone, and it's affecting my business, so I didn't have any choice. So I went back out into the mall and walked around, and I'd gotten checked in, and of course the guy asked me, what my phone number is. I tell him my phone number, and he tells me he's going to send me a text. And I look at him and I says, well, unfortunately I can't receive those texts because that's why I'm here. My phone doesn't work. So I get in there and get signed in, and then I go out and he tells me to come back at about 12:15, which I do. I come back at 12:15, and then I'm looking around looking for like a little monitor on the wall or something that has my name in an order, who's going to be next and all those kind of things. Couldn't find that. Not a single person looked at me and said, can I help you or anything? So I'm just kind of observing, looking around, trying to see what am I supposed to do here? How do I know when it's my turn? And where's the guy that checked me in? I don't see him again. So what am I supposed to do? So I did the most logical thing one could do. I sat down at this big table and waited, and again kept observing. And then I saw one of the representatives, walk up to the lady next to me, and she said, "Hi, you must be Kim." And the other lady said, "Yes." And then they started talking. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, they must have given a description and when I checked in, and they're going to look for this guy in a blue shirt with the silver glasses and gray hair. Okay, and then about 25 or 30 minutes goes by, and none of that happens. And so I realized that there's a table right in front of me where there's one guy sitting and there are three reps sitting around, and I'm thinking, well, it doesn't take three people to help one guy. What's going on here? So at that time I decided to ask the Apple Store employee, hey, I checked in, and how do I know when it's my turn? Well, did you get a text? Well, no, I didn't get the text because my phone's broken, which is why I'm here. And he says, oh, well, there's those two lines over there, and each one of them were about 8 to 10 deep. You have to get back to that line and recheck in. Oh, great. I wish I'd known that about 30 minutes ago. That would have saved me some time. Nonetheless, I get into the line, and I wait probably another 10 minutes to get through this line to get up to the lady. And she walks me over to the table that I was sitting at in the beginning. I found out that table, you only sit there once they reassign you in. So if you've never been to an Apple Store, that's how it works. And then, of course, about 10 minutes later, some guy comes walking out and says, "Hi, you must be James." Because, of course, I have the blue shirt on and the silver sunglasses and the gray hair, so he knew it must be me. Actually, it was a she, I think. Anyway, she continues to do some things with my phone to check it out, and we determine the phone is the problem. And then finally, she decides that we are going to have to get a new phone. So I say, okay, fantastic. She gets the phone out, and it's dead too. And she says, well, because I have the 256 gigabyte, I guess is what it is, memory storage. And she says, we don't get a lot of these. They either get the 32 or the 64, and not many people go for the 256. So this one's probably been sitting back there for a while, and the battery's drained. Okay, great. So we sit there, we charge it up, and then we get the phone up and running, and I get back to the office, plug it in, and then I discover that the latest backup I have on my office computer is from November of 2016. So I'm hoping that when I get home tonight and plug into my laptop that I've got a more up-to-date backup that I can restore from. Otherwise, I have lost a lot of data and a lot of apps, including the app that allows me to look at our security cameras here at the school. So I should be able to find that, but I can't think of the name of it right off the bat. Anyway, I just thought I'd let you guys know about that because those are some of the things that have been going on and the reason why I wasn't able to get my podcast out yesterday. And I just thought that it would be good to share some of these things as to what I go through on a regular basis, and I'm sure that you guys go through things like that, and maybe in some cases a lot worse. But here's what it comes down to. It comes down to how you handle it, how you deal with it. So I was very upset. I was very frustrated. I knew that this was going to happen as soon as the phone started acting up and I couldn't get it to start again. I fast-forwarded my mind into the future. I already saw the fact that I was going to be stuck in a car for 8 hours, and then going from there to right into teaching, and then right from there to home when everything was closed, and that I was going to have to address it in the morning. And I didn't expect to have to run errands all day today to get this phone up and running. But nonetheless, I did what I had to do. And that's because it's a need. right? It became, instead of a want, it became a need. And so when things become a need, you find that you're more willing to do things than you are when it's just a want, right? And so I was teaching class the other night, and you often find when you're teaching somebody or you're helping somebody that sometimes, occasionally, a piece of wisdom passes through your brain and out through your lips, and you know that it's just too good to come from your own brain, so you say it 2 or 3 times to really lock it in. And I had that experience. I believe it was either Monday night or maybe it was Thursday of last week, or Saturday. Might have been Saturday. And I said it, and as soon as I said it, I repeated it 2 times, and I thought, wow, that is some powerful stuff. So I'm going to try to capture this thought and put it onto a meme, which I did, and now I'm going to tell you what this is, because I think this is a huge part of being a successful person. And so, I'm going to kind of ping pong around a little bit and get my thoughts out in kind of a random order here, but as if I already wasn't doing that so far. Anyway, when I have found that when you help teach other people, you help mentor other people, that really that's the pinnacle of success, in my opinion, because that's what, if you hit the lottery and you become successful, as far as money goes, and you buy all these lavish things for yourself, well, that's fine and dandy. But if you don't help other people in the process, then I don't really consider that being much of a success. I think that's more luck anyway. But I find myself feeling the most successful and fulfilled when I'm helping other people. When I'm teaching other people and mentoring other people, I am gaining something priceless out of that. Now, I do a lot of teaching and mentoring other people, but I also have a lot of people teaching and mentoring me as well. So when one of my mentors gives me a couple of things that he or she notices and says, here's the 2 or 3 problems that I can see going on right now, and if you'll address these things, they will make a huge difference in your overall results and your overall peace of mind and your stress levels and things. Anytime that I listen to those things with an open mind, I am always better off for it. Very seldom do I find that they were wrong. They're able to see things that I can't see, and when they're able to do that and be honest about it, I appreciate that more than anything else. I think a lot of us have too many yes men around us, and they're afraid to be honest and tell us what they really think. And it isn't until we leave the room that they will tell somebody else what they really think about us or about our situation. And that's what we kind of need, more people like that in our life. More people that will, not like that, I guess, more people that will tell us directly what they're really thinking instead of sugarcoating it and then when we leave, telling the truth to somebody else. There's people will say, oh, everybody can see it but him, or everybody can see it but her. And that's unfortunate that there's not somebody that goes to that person and gives them the straight and narrow. So anyway, coming back to the little piece of wisdom that passed through my mind and has affected me in a very, very profound way the past few days, ever since I said it. The moment I said it, I was like, wow, I was floored that I had said it. And I could see the people who were in the school that day, they also were nodding their heads, and they also, it kind of, was an aha moment for them as well. And here it is. The more you do the things that you need to do, the more you'll be able to do the things that you want to do. So let me repeat that again. The more that you do the things that you need to do, the more you'll be able to do the things that you want to do. And the reason that was so profound to me is because, for the past 20 years, well, 23 years now actually, I've been running my business in my school, martial arts school. And I've done a lot of other things on the side as well, and as far as writing books and selling DVD curriculums and hosting or doing seminars, teaching seminars across the country, and writing for Taekwondo Times magazine and some other smaller magazines, and just lots of little things that I really enjoy to do. And of course, these like podcasts and things like that as well. I had pretty much everything set in my life up until about let's say November of last year, December of last year. Everything I was on easy street for the most part. I was basically semi-retired. I could work as much or as little as I wanted to, and I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed being able to be home on a Tuesday night at 5:30 in the afternoon and watch the news if that's what I wanted to do, or take a 5-day vacation someplace and just fly out and not have to worry about what was happening at home. Of course, I didn't abdicate anything. I've delegated things and checked in, but I have well-trained staff that pretty much handled everything A to Z. And then I got this crazy notion that, hey, it's time for me to start over again. And so I've grown accustomed to this lifestyle that I no longer can afford to fund at the moment, because everything that I have has gone into this venture here in Florida, into the building of the school and marketing dollars and lots of things that I didn't expect as far as expenses go. And then, unexpected problems at the house with dishwashers and stoves and refrigerators and cars going out of commission, and now my phone out of commission and things like this. And so I'm back in the point now where I absolutely need to make this business a success. I need it to be successful. I don't just want it to be successful. It shouldn't just should be successful. It's now to the point where it is a need. And because of that, I am willing to do things that I probably wouldn't even think about doing had I stayed in Indianapolis and kept doing what I was doing, because I kind of had it made, I guess is the best word for it. But I hate to say that, because it's not like I was making millions of dollars or anything, but I had a very comfortable lifestyle, and I could come and go as I pleased and scratch my itch for teaching anytime I wanted to. And I really enjoy, helping and mentoring the next generation, which is what I did. But now I am back in the trenches doing all of those things that I've been teaching and mentoring and managing for the past at least 15 years, and I'm now responsible, between my wife and I, just for doing everything again. And it's fantastic. It's a great feeling doing these things again, and it's kind of like Rocky when he goes from, I think it was Rocky 5, when he goes from his lavish, mansions and things like that, back to the hood, and that's where he's living, and he's kind of his old self again. And in many ways, that's how I feel. So now I've got this eye of the tiger again, and I've got to do it one more time. And so my goal is to be able to replicate what we have done in Indianapolis, but in much less time, because I'm armed with much more experience and much more knowledge on what's important, what I should be doing, and also what's not important, which is also a big part of becoming successful, is learning to identify things that are unimportant. We do a lot of things in our lives that take time and make us busy, the busy work, but a lot of times those are things that don't really contribute much to our overall success. So, for instance, scrolling Facebook for hours at a time, it's interesting, and you can get caught in this vortex of doing that, and before you realize it, 2 hours have gone by, and you're, oh my goodness, what have I been doing here? Watching these crazy dog videos and cat videos and these, reading these funny stories and liking and sharing and all those kind of things. And you have to do some of that if you're going to be a business owner, because you have to be out there where people are at. However, you can certainly take that to excess as well. So, being that I've been in business for so long, I've had lots of successes, but I've had a heck of a lot more failures. I have been able to identify a lot of the mistakes that I made, and some of those things I was able to identify on my own, and others were identified by some of my mentors and said, if you'd listened to me when I said to do this, this, and this, you wouldn't have had that experience. And of course, I'm a little bit rock-headed or hard-headed, and I need to make my own mistakes once in a while. But once I realized that this person that gave me that advice was right about the third time, I'm going to start listening to them a little bit more, and when they give me the next piece of advice, I am much more apt to act on it. So anyway, that's kind of what's been going on this week. We've got this anti-abduction seminar. I don't know if I talked to you about that or not too much, but it's coming up this Saturday. It's going to be a packed house. We did one 2 weeks ago, and we found a Facebook post that talked about an attempted abduction, and so within 24 hours or 48 hours, we had created a seminar and put it out there, and within that short period of time, we had 13 people take us up on it and come out and take the seminar, and probably 80 or 90 or 100 other people say, wow, I wish I had known about this before, and will you do one of these again in the future? So we said, of course, and 2 weeks later, we set the date for this coming Saturday. That was 2 weeks ago. and we put it out there, and we've got 60 people. We had 50 space for 50, and we had so much interest that we opened it up to 60, because we have to assume that there's going to be a certain segment that said they were going to be here that aren't going to be here, and hopefully we'll end up with our 50 people there, because that's really about all we can handle on the floor. And since these are all going to be kids between 11 and 14, they are required to have a parent or guardian with them, which means then, as far as our spectator area, we can probably comfortably seat about 20 to 25 spectators, and we figure with 60 kids coming, that's at least 60 parents probably, and maybe a sibling or two, and maybe even dad and a grandfather or grandmother or something like that. So we are going to be packed to the gills, and I don't know how we're going to pull it off, but we're going to pull it off somehow, some way, and just hope the fire marshal doesn't come by and catch us. So anyway, as I was in the car with my phone on Monday that wasn't working, I was supposed to be contacting the press to get this out to the public and let them know what we're doing, and hopefully get a segment on a news station or in a newspaper or something like that. But I was unable to do that because of my phone situation, and so I'm going to be doing that here shortly. And anyway, the message, I guess, into today's podcast is that bad things happen to good people all the time. And it isn't what happens to us, it's how we deal with what happens to us, and it's what we learn. It's what we learn from what happens to us. So there's a lot of things that go wrong in our lives, but to just sit and complain about those things doesn't do us much good. Now, I'll be the first to admit that I complained up a storm, mostly to myself about, and a little bit to my wife, about my phone, because it's an integral part of my business right now. I have to be able to check and send emails. I have to be able to check and send Facebook postings and reply to customers who are interested in what we're doing. They leave us a message, and I'm not always at my computer to do that, so I need the phone to do that. And I just can't see myself how I can function without it in so many different ways. So I've had the last day and a half, or really almost 2 days full, of not having my phone, which has been nice in some ways, but in other ways it's caused a lot of stress, because now I'm catching up from all the emails that I missed and all of the text messages that came in and everything else, and at the same time trying to get these marketing things done. And then of course I received some VIP passes that I had printed up, and the people that created them cut them wrong, so I had to get that redone. And now they're asking me for very high level, at least to me, very high level knowledge as far as bleeds and margins and things that I know a little bit about, but just enough to get me in trouble, and I can't help them help me. So there's that as well, and it kind of all happening at one time. And then here we are, and I'm making sure that I'm honoring my word to get my podcast out. So I apologize for it being a little late, but hopefully I get back on track next week, and I'm going to do maybe some experimental things with the podcast. Kind of like I did a little bit of that today, just telling you kind of a little bit about my day and the upbringing. Oh, and before I go, I guess I should mention the eclipse that we had yesterday. I mean, that was like one of the most talked about things that I can remember in recent history. And over what? I don't understand what the whole big deal was about. The moon is passing by the sun, and for a little while it's dark. Can't we go out at nighttime and kind of see that happening as the sun sets? Maybe we can't see the moon in front of the sun, but nonetheless, I thought it was a little bit crazy, everybody making such a big deal about it, but I guess it was kind of cool. So I was out all day yesterday in the eclipse, and I saw absolutely nothing but some clouds. The sky was blue, and I didn't see any moment where it got dark, and then I remember seeing that a couple of times when I was younger, but I didn't see any of that yesterday. So for me, it was kind of a non-event. In fact, we even forgot about it until about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we looked up at the sky and go, oh well, I guess it's maybe a little darker than normal, but certainly nothing to write home about. But anyway, I figured I'd throw that in there so as to be a little timely about current events and things. So I'm going to kind of babble a little bit and ramble on and just get some thoughts out there from time to time, and this is one of those examples. I hope you enjoyed some of my rambling and babbling. If you did, please let me know in the comments below, and if you'd like, if there's anything you'd like for me to discuss in the realm of success or just life in general that you'd be interested in hearing my thoughts on it or opinions on things, don't hesitate to put that in the comments below. And if you did enjoy today's podcast, be sure to like it and share it with friends and family. And I will talk to you next week. So until then, this is James Tharis saying, be successful.
That's all for this week. Tune in next week for another episode of Success Weekly. Do you have an idea you'd like James to talk about in an upcoming episode? Post your comments and be sure to share this podcast with friends.